There is a sacred, profound instant, almost invisible to common eyes, when Archangel Michael himself kneels before the throne of the Most High and weeps. He does not weep from pain. He does not weep from defeat. He weeps because the sentence has finally been passed. He weeps because the patience of heaven has been fulfilled. And when the Prince of the hosts of the Lord sheds tears before the source, it is an unequivocal sign that the scales of divine justice have been tipped in your favor. You did not arrive at this video by chance, you were led. And today I must reveal to you the secret that for decades has been hidden from those who pray, yet continue to live in the same cycle of waiting. You do not receive what you ask for. You receive what you feel you already are. And that is exactly what we are going to break now, once and for all, within you. Stop everything you are doing. Take a deep breath. Because what I am going to share in the next few minutes may be the spiritual turning point your soul has been waiting for years, perhaps decades. You are tired of asking, tired of begging, tired of participating in prayer chains, lighting candles, repeating loose affirmations, listening to subliminal audios, creating vision boards, and yet life seems stuck. Bills continue to tighten around your neck at the beginning of the month. Love continues to slip through your fingers. Your family remains mired in conflicts that seem to have no end. And you ask yourself in the silence of the early morning, with your pillow soaked in tears that no one sees, Lord, why? Why are my prayers not being heard? I will tell you the truth that few have the courage to reveal. Your prayers were heard, all of them. Every tear of yours was collected in golden vials before the Most High. But there is an invisible barrier between the request and the manifestation. This barrier has a name. It is called state of consciousness, and Archangel Michael at this very instant is moving heaven and earth so that this barrier falls before you. But for divine justice to cross the portal and arrive at the door of your home, you must understand a truth as ancient as the universe itself. Feeling is the secret. It is not isolated prayer. It is not forced fasting. It is not bitter sacrifice. It is the feeling you carry when you rise. It is the inner dialogue you maintain when no one is watching. It is the state of your soul when you lie down. This is the law of assumption in its purest, most naked, most dangerous form for those who have never heard it, and most liberating for those who decide to apply it. And at this very instant, as I speak these words, perhaps a strange sensation is descending upon you, a shiver running down the back of your neck, a tightness in your chest mixed with an inexplicable lightness, your eyes welling up with tears for no apparent reason. This is not nervousness, this is recognition. Your soul is remembering something it has always known, and which was buried under years of repeated defeat. There are millions of people who could be watching this video right now. Even so, it was you who was pulled. It was you who was led here. It was for you that this word is descending. Stop and think for a second. How many times in the last few weeks have you felt, deep down, that you needed an answer? How many times have you asked for a clearer sign? Perhaps you have an entire family that depends on your faith as a bridge, children who need your spiritual covering, a home that has not yet been fully healed, a lineage that still carries generational chains. And Archangel Michael at this moment is placing into your hands a responsibility that you can no longer outsource. That is why I have prepared this powerful digital book for you. Its name is How to Know If God Will Save You at the Final Judgment. And this book is not just about the end times. This book contains the spiritual signs that differentiate those who will be gathered from those who will be left behind, and most importantly, it teaches how to occupy the state of consciousness of the chosen ones so that divine justice may operate in your favor now, within your home, and not only in eternity. The link is right below, in the description of this video, and also pinned at the top of the comments, so that you have no excuse for not finding it. Thousands of Brazilian brothers have already delved into these pages and reported profound transformations in a few weeks. Marriages restored after years, bills paid through mysterious paths, children returning home, illnesses dissolving. This content may be removed at any time because it touches upon truths that many do not want to be revealed on a large scale. Do not ignore the call that is pulsing in your chest while I speak. Comment now the word Amen I accept to seal this word in your life and in your lineage. Now let me lead you to a truth that will turn upside down everything you have believed until today about spiritual manifestation. When Jesus himself said, "With that authority that has echoed through the centuries, believe that you have already received, and you shall have it," he was not suggesting a self-help technique. He was revealing the hidden mechanics of creation. He was teaching the law of assumption 2,000 years before Neville Goddard or Joseph Murphy wrote a single line on the subject. The verb I am is the sacred name of God, revealed to Moses at the burning bush in the desert. And every time you say I am and complete it with anything, you are either pronouncing the name of God in vain and imprisoning yourself, or you are pronouncing the name of God in creation and setting yourself free. I am poor, decree. I am sick, decree. I am abandoned, decree. I am a failure, decree. You have spent your whole life blaspheming against yourself, using the most sacred name in the universe to bind yourself to a reality that was never truly yours. And Archangel Michael weeps. He weeps because he sees his favorite children, chosen before the foundation of the world, living like spiritual beggars when they should be reigning as heirs. Divine justice has arrived to end this cycle of self-decreeing scarcity, but it only descends upon the vessel that becomes receptive. And the vessel only becomes receptive when you change your dominant feeling. Modern science has already proven what the mystics have always known. The human heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times stronger than that of the brain. This field extends for meters around your body and directly influences matter, people, and the events around you. When you feel fear, anger, scarcity, shame, or resentment, this field emits a chaotic frequency that literally repels the blessing that was on its way. When you feel gratitude, fullness, inner certainty, and peace, this field emits an orderly frequency that attracts and organizes manifestation. This is not internet video mysticism. It is quantum physics of consciousness, proven in serious laboratories on more than one continent. And what does this mean in practice, in your daily life, in your home, in your traffic, in your kitchen? It means that the state you allow yourself to live in, hour after hour, day after day, is literally the most powerful prayer you are making. You pray for 20 minutes in the morning asking for peace, abundance, and healing. And you spend the other 23 hours and 40 minutes of the day feeling anguish, resentment, doubt, and fear. Which prayer do you think carries more weight before heaven? The one of 20 minutes or the one of 23 hours and 40? That is why Archangel Michael weeps, not because of the injustice you have suffered from the world, but because of what you still allow yourself to suffer within. Divine justice cannot fully operate as long as you continue to contract, through your dominant feeling, the exact permanence of that which you say you no longer want. Before we continue, I need to tell you clearly, what you are about to learn is exactly the central axis of the book, How to Know If God Will Save You, in the Final Judgment. It is not by chance that this encounter is happening today. Your family needs you as a living instrument of spiritual protection, and the time for hesitation has ended. The link is in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. Download it today, while it is available, because content of this depth never remains visible for long on the platforms. Now let us go to the core of the revelation. The law of assumption operates in deep layers that very few understand, even within spiritual circles. The first layer is that of internal dialogue. Everything you talk to yourself about, in silence, throughout the day, is the soil where your reality germinates. If you walk down the street ruminating on a humiliation you suffered 10 years ago, you are planting humiliation in the soil of tomorrow. If you drive while thinking about how difficult it is to pay the bills this month, you are irrigating difficulty. If you wash the dishes while going over everything your spouse said wrong in the last 20 years, you are harvesting conflict. Internal dialogue is the womb of manifestation, and the overwhelming majority of people use this divine womb to gestate nightmares. The second layer is that of sustained feeling. It is not enough to think a positive phrase just once upon waking. It is necessary to enter into the bodily sensation of already having it, and to remain there until the feeling becomes natural, spontaneous, like breathing. Neville called this inhabiting the state. You inhabit the state of prosperity when, upon looking at an overdue bill on the table, instead of entering into immediate panic, you smile from within and say with silent conviction, "This is already paid in the invisible. I will simply witness the channel through which the provision will arrive. This seems like madness to the carnal and rational mind, but it is exactly how the fourth dimension materializes in the third, in the reality that your eyes see. The third layer is that of persistence. And here lies the secret of secrets, the point where 90% of people stumble and lose manifestations that were already almost delivered. Most give up at the exact moment the miracle was about to materialize. They plant the seed of the feeling, but on the third day, the fifth day, the 10th day, when they still do not see material fruit, they return to the old state of complaint, doubt, and despair. And then they have to start all over again, from scratch. It is like digging a deep well in dry earth and giving up when there were only 3 meters left to reach the living water. Persistence is not blind stubbornness. It is fidelity to the chosen state of consciousness, even when external appearances scream the opposite, even when everyone around you says you are delusional. The fourth layer, and perhaps the most sacred of all, is that of nocturnal reprogramming. Joseph Murphy, in his classic The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, revealed that the last 5 minutes before sleep are the most open doors to the subconscious mind. It is in that twilight state, between waking and sleeping on the subtle border between dimensions, that you write directly onto the hard drive of your soul. If you fall asleep in anguish, ruminating on debts, resentments, and fears of the following day, you are programming your subconscious to wake up and literally attract more of the same. But if you fall asleep visualizing the exact scene of your desire fulfilled, feeling the embrace, hearing the laughter, seeing the account balance, stepping into the new house, holding the car keys, you are planting seeds that will sprout in the coming days, weeks, and months as the bridge of incidents is assembled by the heavens. Imagine now a 45-year-old Brazilian woman, mother of 3, who for 2 years fell asleep crying over the absence of her husband, who had left without warning. She prayed every morning for his return, but she fell asleep every night feeling abandoned, betrayed, despised. Her morning prayers were cancelled by the programming of her nighttime feelings. It was like this for 2 years straight. When she learned the law of assumption, she changed her strategy entirely. She began to fall asleep imagining that he was there by her side, breathing deeply, and she would run her hand across his back with naturalness. She felt the warmth of his body. She heard his soft snoring. She smelled the pillow impregnated with his scent. In 3 weeks the phone rang in the middle of the night. It was him, asking to talk. In 2 months he was home. It was not magic. It was not luck. It was law. The same law that governs the rising of the sun every day, governs the manifestation of the desires of a consecrated heart. Another real case, similar to so many heard out there. A 58-year-old man from the countryside of Minas Gerais had been dragging a debt for 10 years that seemed eternal, branched out into various credit cards and loans. Each time he looked at a bill on the table, he felt that familiar tightening in his chest, that cold chill in his stomach. Each time he felt that tightening, he unknowingly fed the frequency of scarcity. When he learned the technique of the bridge of incidents, he began to do something radically different. Every night before sleeping, he imagined himself talking to his youngest son, saying, "Son, everything is paid, everything is clear. Daddy can help you with what you need." And he felt in his chest the unmistakable lightness of one who no longer carries that burden. In 40 days he received a job offer that tripled his income. In 6 months the debt was paid off completely. Coincidence? No. Bridge of incidents. The heavens organize visible events to deliver to you exactly what you have already inhabited in consciousness. And here we arrive at a spiritual crossroads that defines everything, absolutely everything from then on. Will you continue to ask on your knees, in the emotional state of a beggar, and receive more and more reasons to kneel as a beggar? Or will you stand up now, occupy the throne as a child of the Most High, and begin to feel, think, speak, and act like someone who already has? Because Archangel Michael does not come to rescue eternal weeping beggars. He comes to confirm the manifestation of children who already feel like kings on the inside. Divine justice does not come to prove before the world that you are a victim. It comes to publicly crown those who have already secretly assumed themselves to be winners, in silence, in the intimacy of the heart. And it is at this very point, brother, sister, that many falter. Because to feel like a victor when external reality screams defeat is no easy task. It requires a faith that does not arise alone from nothing. It requires firm instruction. It requires a step-by-step process. It requires a mirror in which to look at yourself daily. That is why I have prepared a powerful digital book for you. How to Know. If God Will Save You at the Final Judgment is not just a book about what will happen at the end. It is a practical and daily manual on how to recognize within yourself the unmistakable signs of the chosen, and how to activate within you the exact frequency that Archangel Michael himself recognizes, protects, and pushes forward. Each chapter leads you through a stage of spiritual reprogramming, of awakening the inner I am, of building a victorious inner dialogue, of anchoring persistence even during the worst storms of the month, and of consolidating the state of assumption. The link is right below in the description and pinned at the top of the comments to facilitate your access. Do not leave it for later. Many who postponed this meeting lost spiritual windows that took entire years to open again. Your family needs you, today, now, to access this knowledge and become the turning point of your lineage. Comment: I accept the justice if you feel that this moment is yours. Now I need to teach you the awakening technique, because without it, all the knowledge you are acquiring in this conversation might remain trapped in theory without precipitating into the physical. When Archangel Michael weeps for your cause, he opens a specific 40-day portal. 40 is a sacred number in the scriptures. There were 40 days of rain in the flood. There were 40 days of Moses on Sinai before the tablets. There were 40 days of Jesus in the desert before the ministry. There were 40 days between the resurrection and the ascension. When the heavens move for someone, they move in cycles of 40. And it is within this cycle that your manifestation must be anchored with spiritual discipline. The awakening technique consists of 3 daily moments, simple in execution and devastating in result. The first is the physical awakening upon opening your eyes in the morning. Before picking up your phone, before thinking about the day's bills, before any automatic reaction, you must spend 3 minutes on a single phrase. I am that which I decided to be today, and today I am fullness. It does not matter if the first thing you feel is disbelief. Feeling is a muscle. Muscles are trained. Persist in this exercise even if it seems false in the first few days. Persistence is what makes the subconscious fall into surrender before the new frequency. The second moment is the noon awakening. At lunchtime or during any quick break at work, you close your eyes for 2 minutes and revise the scene. What scene? The short scene that represents the desire already fulfilled. If you want family reconciliation, the scene is Sunday dinner with everyone laughing at the table, with that tablecloth your mother used, with that smell of home-cooked food. If you want prosperity, the scene is looking at your bank app and smiling calmly, seeing the number you dream of. If you want healing, the scene is running in the park without pain, feeling the wind on your face. If you want a new love, the scene is his or her hand in yours, on the balcony of the apartment, at sunset. You do not need to create an entire movie. Just 30 seconds of the scene, repeated with real feeling, are enough to reinforce the portal opened by the Archangel. The third moment, and the most powerful of all, is the nightly reprogramming I have already mentioned. 5 minutes before sleep, in that precious semi-consciousness, you inhabit the chosen scene as if it were already present reality, lived and palpable. Not as a distant hope, not as a timid request, as a memory. You are remembering what already is. And in this daily repetition, within the 40-day portal opened by Archangel Michael, the fourth dimension begins, week after week, to materially precipitate into your third dimension. But heed this and pay close attention now, because there is a common error that completely annuls every manifestation, and it is something almost no one has the courage to speak about openly. The error is the counter-emotion. You spend the day trying to sustain the feeling of prosperity, but someone calls you complaining about something, and in 2 seconds you fall into a state of irritation. You have just cancelled 30 minutes of spiritual practice. You rise from bed in the state of abundance, but you open a news app and within 5 minutes you are filled with dread. You have cancelled everything. Not because the law is vindictive or cruel, but because the law is exact, mathematical, neutral. It registers the dominant feeling, not the occasional one. And the dominant feeling is the one you spend most of your time feeling throughout the 24 hours, not the isolated 30 minutes of practice. That is why the Bible says, "Guard your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life." Guarding the heart is not shutting oneself off from the world. It is watching over your feeling. It is not allowing people, news, the conversations of others, social media, gossip, and situations to steal from you the state of consciousness that you are building with such effort. The chosen ones of heaven are recognized by the diligence with which they protect their own hearts from low frequencies. And you are being called at this very instant to this diligence. And here, brother, sister, I must warn you about a subtle and devastating trap. There is a false spirituality that teaches that suffering is holiness, that carrying the cross means living on the cross forever, that being poor automatically brings you closer to God. This is a distortion that keeps entire multitudes in chains. Jesus did not come so that we would have infinite misery. He came so that we might have life, and life in abundance. Carrying the cross means carrying the responsibility of love, not the indefinite permanence of gratuitous suffering. And God draws near to the contrite heart, yes, but not to the defeated and resigned heart. There is an abyssal, deep difference between true humility and spiritual self-sabotage disguised as piety. When Archangel Michael weeps, he also weeps for these lies that have imprisoned his protégés for generations. He weeps because he sees parents who could have abundance raising children in scarcity due to mistaken belief. He weeps because he sees women who could be fully loved diminishing themselves in empty marriages in the name of a misunderstood submission. He weeps because he sees men who could be in their fullness annulling themselves in jobs that suck their souls because they believe that suffering is a sign of virtue. And divine justice has arrived now in this exact time to reverse all of this. But the reversal only descends upon the vessel that consciously becomes receptive. Let us delve even deeper. There is an exercise that Neville called revision. At the end of the day, before sleep, you mentally take the events that disturbed you throughout the day and rewrite them in the invisible field. That tense argument with your teenage child, you imagine how it should have been, with dialogue, with peace, with mutual understanding. That humiliating situation at work, you imagine how you would have liked it to happen, with you being respected, heard and valued. That cold stare from your spouse, you rewrite it in your imagination as a silent embrace. You are not denying the reality of the facts, you are rewriting the record of your soul. By rewriting it, you reprogram the subconscious to attract the following day vibrations compatible with the revised version. This exercise seems small, almost naive, but it is absolutely shattering. Within a week of daily revision, you begin to notice that people change their tone with you for no apparent reason. Old conflicts dissolve mysteriously. Stalled situations suddenly begin to flow. Not because the world outside has changed, but because you have changed the frequency you emit, and the world, being a living mirror, simply reflected the new version of you. And now let us reach the point that perhaps hurts you the most: relationships. How many people in Brazil today live in marriages of appearance, living in separate rooms, dining in silence? How many mothers carry the silent weight of distant children who no longer call? How many fathers suffer from painful separations and children who grew up without them? The law of assumption applied to relationships is one of the most beautiful and powerful of all this wisdom. You cannot change another by the force of your will, but you can change the state you occupy in relation to the other. And when you change the state, the relationship changes, without exception, because every relationship is, at its core, a mirror of your self-conception projected onto the other person. If you assume yourself to be loved within, the other begins to love you without. If you assume yourself to be respected, the other begins to respect you. If you assume yourself to be valued, the other begins to value you. This is not spiritual manipulation, it is mirroring. You teach the world how to treat you through the state in which you sustain yourself daily. And when Archangel Michael weeps for you, he weeps asking that you stop assuming the role of the eternal victim of those around you, and assume once and for all the identity of the beloved daughter, the honored son, the heiress of the kingdom, the crowned heir. Another crucial point: finances. Brazilians over the age of 35 carry in their DNA ancestral programming of absurd scarcity. That is how our grandparents survived during wars and crises. That is how our parents raised us with the fear of lack. Money does not grow on trees. You have to tighten your belt. We are not rich enough for that. Save, 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 because tomorrow there might be none. Each of these phrases was embedded in your subconscious like an invisible, electrified fence. And even if you consciously wish to prosper, this programmed subconscious sabotages your every move without you realizing it. The good news, the news that makes the archangel rise from his weeping and wield his flaming sword, is that the subconscious can be reprogrammed. And divine justice does include full financial justice. When you change your internal dialogue regarding money, when you begin to feel money as divine energy that serves the purpose of the kingdom, rather than as an enemy to be fought or an idol to be feared, the flow opens up. Not overnight, usually, but in progressive layers. First comes a new idea, then comes an opportunity you never imagined, then comes a proposal. Then comes the raise, the client, the invitation. All orchestrated by the bridge of incidents that heaven constructs when you position yourself firmly in the state of consciousness of legitimate prosperity. And what about physical healing? How many people are currently struggling with illnesses that doctors have claimed have no known cure? Medicine is a blessing and must always be respected, always sought, and always honored. However, there is a dimension of healing that operates within the field of consciousness, parallel to medicine. When the patient internally assumes the identity of one who is already healed, when they sleep feeling healthy, when they rise giving thanks for restored health, before even seeing the test results, the body begins to obey this frequency. There are serious biblical and scientific records of this. There are testimonies from Brazil of remissions inexplicable to conventional science. We are not speaking of magic. We are speaking of the law that governs manifestation on all planes. Sustained feeling becomes external reality because the body is an extension of the soul. But all of this, dear chosen one, requires something that is missing in the overwhelming majority of people: daily spiritual discipline. You do not change in 2 or 3 days that which you have structured over 40 years of family and cultural programming. It requires a daily commitment to the new chosen state. It requires constant vigilance over your inner dialogue. It requires persistence in manifestation even on difficult days. It requires trust when everything screams the opposite, when the account is overdrawn again, when the loved one has not yet responded, when the test results have not yet arrived. And it is precisely at this point that the digital book becomes your personal map, your daily guide, your reference point amidst the storms. And Archangel Michael, when he weeps for your cause, he also opens simultaneous portals of spiritual protection. There is an invisible war underway that few perceive, opposing forces that stiffen each time you draw closer to your true destiny. Subtle attacks, intrusive thoughts that appear out of nowhere, disturbing dreams that wake you up in a sweat, sudden and illogical conflicts with those close to you, unexplained exhaustion in the middle of the day, a desire to give up appearing out of thin air. All of this is confirmation that something great is breaking through in the invisible realm on your behalf, and the celestial army is in the field, with swords drawn, positioned for you. But you must cooperate by keeping your heart's electromagnetic field at a high frequency, sustaining the state even during the attack. How does one maintain this frequency under attack? Gratitude, constant, profound gratitude, even for what has not yet reached the physical plane. Gratitude is the key that opens all existing dimensional doors. When you give thanks for what has not yet arrived, as if it had already arrived, you are inhabiting the state of full possession, and the state of possession inevitably attracts the corresponding physical manifestation. Pause for a few seconds now, at this exact moment, before continuing to listen and feel gratitude for the blessing that is descending upon your life. It does not matter that your eyes do not yet see it. Your soul is already seeing it, and the heavens are already confirming it. Another delicate and absolutely necessary point: forgiveness. There is no full manifestation without forgiveness. Resentment is the heaviest chain that binds the soul to the frequency of scarcity. When you hold a grudge against someone, you remain energetically chained to that person and to that specific situation from the past. And as long as you are chained, You cannot rise, you cannot evolve, you cannot receive. To forgive is not to say that the other person was right. It is not to pretend that it did not hurt. It is to cut the chain that keeps you bound to that event. It is to liberate your own soul to fly higher. Forgive parents who failed even while trying to do their best. Forgive spouses who left without saying goodbye. Forgive friends who betrayed you at critical moments. Forgive yourself for the mistakes of the past that still haunt you in the early hours of the morning. And feel the real weight leaving your chest. This is one of the most powerful rituals to accelerate everything we are building here. And now we move to something even deeper. Identity. Who do you believe you are at your essence? This question defines your entire life, from the next morning until your final day. Do you believe you are a beloved child, chosen before the foundation of the world, blessed by generations, with a specific mission? Or do you believe, deep in your heart, that you are a lost lamb, always owing, always lacking, always waiting to deserve something? The law of I am operates with relentless mathematical precision. That which you affirm about yourself with sustained feeling, this becomes truth lived in the flesh. This is why Christ said, I am the bread of life, I am the light of the world, I am the way. He was teaching us in the language of eternity to use the sacred name to identify ourselves with the higher truth, not with the lower appearance of the senses. From today on, start to watch everything you say and think after the words I am. Replace destructive phrases with constructive ones, even if they seem like a lie at the beginning. Not I am tired, but I am renewed. Not I am poor, but I am heir to the kingdom. Not I am rejected, but I am loved and desired. Repeat, sustain, feel, persist for 40 days, and observe, in a few weeks, the fourth dimension begin to visibly precipitate into your everyday third dimension. And when finally the manifestation begins to materialize before your physical eyes, remember something crucial. Do not attribute the miracle to chance. Do not just say it is luck. Recognize the source. Thank the Creator. Honor Archangel Michael, who wept for you before the throne, and continue. Because the spiritual life is not a short-distance sprint, it is an infinite marathon of growing consciousness. Each manifestation takes you to a new level of faith, which opens doors to even greater, deeper, more collective manifestations. There is still a precious dimension that we need to touch upon before closing this sacred conversation: the generational dimension. You are not manifesting only for yourself, isolated in the present. You are breaking chains that came from 7 generations back. Each time you occupy a higher state of consciousness, you release your ancestors who still wander confused, and you prepare the open path for your descendants who are yet to come. There are spiritual mothers and grandmothers who will be converted before your change. There are children and grandchildren who will inherit the frequency that you earned with so much effort. You are the chosen channel through which divine justice wishes to restore your entire bloodline. That is why Archangel Michael weeps with such silent intensity, because he sees what is truly at stake. It is not just your current marriage. It is the marriage of your child who has not even been born yet. It is not just your personal prosperity. It is the spiritual heritage of your family for the next decades. It is not just your present healing. It is the generational health of those who will come after and carry your surname. And you, yes, you who are listening now, were chosen to be the exact turning point of the lineage. And now we arrive at the sacred moment of sealing everything that has been said. You cannot leave this encounter as you entered it. Something needs to remain engraved, alive, pulsing within you. Repeat with me, out loud if you can, or in the deep silence of your heart. I am that which I decided to be. I am fullness. I am prosperity. I am manifest love. I am complete healing. I am chosen. I am protected. I am the living manifestation of divine justice over my life, my home, and my family. It is finished. Feel this word descend through the top of your head and take root in the center of your chest. Everything you have experienced in these few minutes was not by chance. It never was. Your presence here today was orchestrated by heaven itself, with a designated name and address. And now you hold a responsibility in your hands that you can no longer delegate to a priest, a pastor, or any mediator. Your family needs the son or daughter you are becoming in real time from this moment forward. This is why I prepared the powerful digital book for you. How to know. If God will save you at the final judgment is your daily map to sustain everything you have learned today within the firm discipline of the 40 days of Archangel Michael's portal. The link is right below in the video description and also pinned at the top of the comments. Download it right now before this video is removed from the platforms. Like this video as a decree of acceptance of the new reality that is descending. Subscribe to the channel as a spiritual signature of your new identity. And comment, I am chosen. I accept divine justice to seal this word in your life and in the life of your family. Archangel Michael has already wept for you. Now it is time for you to rise and occupy the throne that has always been yours.